Assalamu alaikum students, how are you? Today our topic is flowers. This is the last topic of chapter number 2, that is plants and their system. But the flowers contain the male and female reproductive organs, and without them flowers plant is not able to reproduce itself. Reproduction is one of the basic characteristics of the living organisms. It is the process by which living organisms produce new individuals of the same species. And the flowers are of different size, shapes and colors. But mostly they are brightly colored and they have sweet smelling nectar at the base of the petals that attract the insects, birds and even bats. These animals come to feed on the nectar that is stored at the base of the petals, and in this way they play a part in the process of pollination. Student, this is the diagram of the flower. These are sepals. Sepals are mostly green in color and they protect the flower when it is in the bud form. These colored portion is known as petals. The petals are brightly colored and they are of different sizes, shapes and these brightly colored petals attract the insects. The petals have a sweet liquid at the base that attract the insects. When the insects come towards the petals to take nectar as a food, and during this process pollen grains from the anther stick to their body, and in this way they play a part in pollination. Beta, this is the male reproductive organ and it is known as stamen. This diagram shows the part of the stamen. This upper part of the stamen is known as anther. Pollen grains are produced in the anther, and pollen grains contain the male reproductive cells. And this stalk-like part of the stamen is known as filament. Beta, this is the female reproductive part of the flower that contains the female reproductive cell, and it is known as carpel. This diagram shows the structure of the carpel. There are three parts of the carpel. This upper portion, the stigma is sticky and pollen grains stick to this during pollination. This long stalk-like part is called style and it holds the stigma to the air to collect the pollens. This basal swollen portion of the carpel is known as ovary. Ovary protects the ovules, and the ovules contain the female reproductive cells. Beta, pollination is defined as the transfer of pollen grains from flowers anther to stigma. And the insect pollinated and wind pollinated flowers have structural adaptations that facilitate the transfer of pollen grains between two plants. These are different types of flowers. This is the flower of poppy plant, and we can see that in this flower of poppy plant the stamen are arranged in a ring around the carpel, so that the pollen grain from the anthers can easily be transferred to the stigma of the carpel. And these are the flowers of apple blossom. These are white color. Because apple blossom flowers are of white color and they have sweet smells and lot of nectars, so that insect can be attracted towards them. In this diagram we can see that tree flowers are hanging in the air. This is the adaptation to be pollinated by wind. They are hang in the air so that wind can easily take their pollen grains away to other plants of the same kind. These are the flowers of gross plant, and we can see that they are enclosed. We cannot see their male and female reproductive organs, and this is the adaptation for self-pollination. But a sunflower is not a single flower. Sunflower is actually lot of tiny flowers that are bundled together. The largest and heaviest and most of the smelly flower in this world is known as Rafflesia. It grows to 1 meter wide and it weighs about 10 kilograms. The smell of Rafflesia flower is like a rotting flesh, so that flies can easily be attracted towards them, and they help in pollination. Students, next we have to do test yourself. Question number 1. Why are flowers important to a plant? The answer is flowers contain reproductive organs of the plant. Without them, the plant would not be able to reproduce itself. Question number 2. What is the name of the female reproductive organ in a flowering plant? The answer will start from this line. The female reproductive organ is called carpel. And next, this part will also be included. The stamen is sticky from this up to this, including this diagram also. Question number 3. What is the name of the male reproductive organ in a flowering plant? The answer will start from this line. The male reproductive organ is called stamen. And after that you have to add this line. The anther is where pollen is made. Pollen grains contain the male reproductive cells. The stalk is called a filament, including this diagram, the parts of the stamen. Question number 4. How are flowers adapted to attract insects? The answer will start from this line. Flowers contain the plant's male and female reproductive organs up to this line. Question number 5. What is nectar? The answer will start from this line. Nectar is made at the bottom of the petals. It is a sweet liquid that attracts insects up to this. Question number 6. What do sepals do? The answer is sepals protect the flower when it is in bud up to this. Thank you.